On Monday, October 8th at 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, I'll be debating YouTuber Mike the Cop about the virtues of law enforcement, and we'll be doing that via live stream. Listen, guys, 9 of the most terrifying words in the English language are still, "I'm from the government and I'm here to help." If you guys enjoyed this video, subscribe to the channel, hit the bell notification icon, give it a thumbs up, and share it with everybody you know.
So you're not answering my question then on Project Dragonfly?
There is a Project Dragonfly.
There is a Project Dragonfly.
Google bosses have forced employees to delete a confidential memo circulating inside the company that revealed explosive details about a plan to launch a censored search engine in China. The memo, authored by a Google engineer who was asked to work on the project, disclosed that the search system codenamed Dragonfly would require users to log in to perform searches, track their location, and share the resulting history with a Chinese partner who would have unilateral access to the data. The memo was shared earlier this month among a group of Google employees who have been organizing internal protests over the censored search system, which has been designed to remove content that China's authoritarian Communist Party regime views as sensitive, like information about so-called democracy, human rights, and peaceful protests. Keith Enright, Google's chief privacy officer, who, as you're going to see, would make a great politician because he doesn't like to answer direct questions, declined to provide specifics when confronted over the secretive Dragonfly project. A prototype of the search engine, first revealed by The Intercept last month, blacklists terms including Nobel Prize and human rights and requires users to sign in and be tracked. During an exchange with Senator Ted Cruz, Enright, who acknowledged Dragonfly's existence, argued that the project was not ready for launch and denied knowing whether it involved a search engine. Take a listen.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Welcome to the witnesses. Mr. Enright, I want to go back to the topic that a couple of other senators raised with you, which is China. After a cyber attack compromised the Gmail accounts of dozens of Chinese human rights advocates, Google decided in March of 2010 to shut down its operations in China. At the time, Google released a statement that said, quote, "We want as many people in the world as possible to have access to our services, including users in mainland China. Yet the Chinese government has been crystal clear throughout our discussions that self-censorship is a non-negotiable legal requirement." Despite taking this principled stand in 2010, it's been reported last month that Google has been secretly developing a search engine for China as part of a project known as Dragonfly. Are those reports accurate?
Senator, thank you for the question. As we've said, I'm aware of those reports. I need to be clear for the record that my understanding is that we are not close to launching a search product in China, and whether we eventually could or would remains unclear.
Is there a Project Dragonfly, and if there is, what is it?
We have an array of internal projects, and I wouldn't think that it was necessarily appropriate for a privacy conversation to speculate as to what we might be looking at in terms of a product launch in some part of the world.
So you're not answering my question then on Project Dragonfly?
There is a Project Dragonfly.
Guys, that's all he had to say, but he initially chose not to say it. Why? Why did he feel the need to fill the air with his rhetoric as he dodged the question?
And it's focused on a search engine in China, is that accurate?
There is no, we are not close to launching a search product.
You're saying you're not close to launching. I'm asking, is the topic of Project Dragonfly, is it a project to develop a search engine in China? I didn't ask timing of launch, I asked what it is.
Understood. I am not clear on the contours of what is in scope or out of scope for that project.
In other words, Google's chief privacy officer knows about the existence of Project Dragonfly, but he doesn't know what it's about?
But I can say that if we were close to launching a search product in China, myself and my team would be very actively engaged to ensure that it was going through the appropriate privacy review process and that it was consistent with our privacy values and the commitments that we've made to our users.
In your opinion, does China engage in censoring its citizens?
As the privacy representative for Google, I'm not sure that I've had I'm not sure that I have an informed opinion on that question.
It's also been reported that more than 3,100 Google employees sent a letter to Google's CEO earlier this year protesting the company's work on Project Maven, a Pentagon pilot program aimed at speeding up the Defense Department's use of artificial intelligence technologies. Likewise, 1,400 Google employees signed a letter last month protesting Google's plans to create a censored search engine for China. Mr. Enright, you've worked for Google since 2011. Does it concern you that more than twice as many employees at Google have protested working with the U.S. military than have protested creating a censored search engine for China?
Senator, I take a great deal of pride in the fact that Google is an organization that allows employees to voice their opinions, including opinions about product strategy, product decisions, right up to the senior-most leadership of the organization. As to Project Maven, again, my understanding is that there was internal concern raised. Employees were given a voice. There was a significant internal discussion around the project. It ultimately affected the strategic direction of leadership. And while Google continues to commit to meeting the responsibilities of our initial Maven contract, and we're continued to work with the United States government, the Department of Defense in certain areas, including cybersecurity, healthcare, and productivity. But we are focusing on making sure that our collaborations with the government are consistent with our core values.
Let me try again, because your answer didn't answer my question. Does it concern you that more than twice as many Google employees expressed concern about working with the U.S. military as did concern about being complicit in China censoring its citizens?
It encourages me that Google is a place where employees are able to voice those kinds of concerns about projects that they want to ensure are consistent with our values.
Do Google search results as a systemic manner tend to favor one political party over another?
No, sir. We build products for everyone, and in my experience, I see no evidence of bias in the way that our products or services operate.
Okay, so you gave a categorical answer, no, they don't favor one party over the other. What is the basis for that answer? Upon what data do you rely?
The basis for that answer, Senator, is my own experience and my own understanding of our products. I have not reviewed data, so I'm...
Does Google assess whether its search results are biased in favor of one political party or another?
My understanding, again, as a privacy executive for Google, so we're stepping outside of my core domain here, but my understanding is that one of the paramount design decisions for our engineering teams in our many products is that we are designing for everyone.
Okay, Mr. Enright, we're having a problem with answering the question. I asked if Google assesses this question. If you studied, I can tell you millions of Americans, I can tell you millions of Texans believe that big tech companies are actively censoring the speech of American citizens and are silencing the voices of conservatives. One of the frustrating things about this issue is there's almost no transparency. There are almost no public data to assess if that's accurate or not. So my question is Google analyzing the question? Is Google actually looking, not your own personal experiences searching, but are you assessing it empirically? Upon what data do you make testimony in this committee that Google is not favoring in its search results one party over another or one candidate over another?
As the Chief Privacy Officer of Google, this is not within my core domain, so I can only speak to my own experience and the things that are my responsibilities within the organization.
So the answer is yes. Google is actively censoring Americans.
But within my purview, I have never seen any evidence of bias, and I consistently see a commitment.
Okay, I'm going to try just one more time. Are you aware of any efforts of Google to assess whether search results have a political bias? Don't give me a statement they don't have a bias. Are you aware of efforts to actually empirically assess and determine it?
As Chief Privacy Officer of Google, I am not aware of such efforts.
Thank you.
Even to the end, he just couldn't say no. Here's how much of a dog and pony show this is, guys. What you just witnessed is the government questioning the government. They're conducting an investigation on themselves. More than 2 decades ago, the US intelligence community worked closely with the Silicon Valley in an effort to track citizens in cyberspace. And Google is at the heart of that origin story. Some of the research that led to Google's ambitious creation was funded and coordinated by a research group established by the intelligence community to find ways to track individuals and groups online. When simply asked whether China engages in censorship against its citizens, Enright claimed he was unable to properly answer the question. As the privacy representative for Google, I'm not sure I have an informed opinion on that question. That's a ridiculous answer. Google previously began operating in China in 2006, but pulled out of the country in 2010 after finding that the communist government was censoring users and hacking the Google accounts of dissidents. The hearing comes just days after a bipartisan group of US lawmakers urged the company to answer questions on their plans for China. The bottom line is, Google should not be helping China crack down on free speech and political dissent, just like they shouldn't be doing here, but they do. A lot of letters, including those from more than 1,400 Google employees, as well as 14 human rights organizations, have already been sent to the company. This guy, a former Google research scientist, Jack Polson, also came forward this month after resigning in protest of the censorship project. Here's what he had to say.
Walk us through your decision to resign rather than trying to protest from within.
Sure. So I, like most employees, found out about this through the Intercept reporting on August 1st. I will say it was a very vocal 3 weeks following that. Within that week, I was trying to raise concerns internally. There was a lot of pushback and talking about it. It was phrased as a very exploratory project. Not many managers really knew anything about it. So as an employee, when you try and raise such a concern, you're essentially told, just wait for a company-wide discussion and then your concerns will eventually be handled. A few days of this, I submitted a conditional resignation saying if this turns out to be true, then I'm forced to resign for ethical reasons. Still, even after submitting that conditional resignation, still I essentially received no clarification on what red lines might be crossed. And then after enough time passed, say another week and a half, I submitted a formal resignation. I wrote a 5-page, very well-cited document explaining my reasons, some of which you quoted at the very end, and then circulated that throughout the company.
If you want to see the rest of this interview, I'll drop a link in the description. Now, a lot of people are saying we need an internet bill of rights. We need the government to control and break up the tech giant monopoly. Guys, no we don't. Look how poorly that worked out when the government got involved in breaking up the giant oil monopolies. This would necessitate the further involvement of government stepping in and policing the internet. An internet bill of rights would basically be their license to control the internet under the guise of protecting us. We need to learn this. If the government is the answer to the problem, we're asking the wrong question. We don't need an internet bill of rights. How many times a day does our own constitutional bill of rights get trampled underfoot by government goons? The Silicon Valley giants want government to step in and regulate them. Why? Because that'll protect them from the free market pulling the plug on them, like it did with MySpace and Dig not that long ago. The antidote for teaching the masters of the Silicon Valley universe a lesson is to step off their platforms and onto decentralized platforms like BitChute and Gab. With just the free market rising to the big tech challenge, Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube could easily drift into the sea of obscurity like MySpace did. Leave your thoughts about this in the comment section below, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Guys, I don't know how much longer my channel will be around here on YouTube. Please take a minute and sign up to my email list. It's free, painless, and you'll get some cool stuff. Also, take another minute to subscribe to my decentralized, censorship-free BitChute and Steemit channels. All these links are in the description. I want you to know this. If my channel goes down, I'll still produce content for you guys through my website and through BitChute and Steemit. So make sure you stay connected through the email subscription link in the description below. Just watch the 45-second video on my website and you'll be all set. If you want to support my work on this channel, grab a shirt, snag a flashlight, or hit me up on Patreon and PayPal. I'll see you guys in the next video. Before you go, check out one of the most in-your-face, hard-hitting, conversation-starting shirt stores on the planet. Just by wearing one of these t-shirts, hoodies, tank tops, or cutoffs, and without saying a word, you can let people know that black rifles matter. You can inform the sleeping masses that fluoride is dumbing them down, that Google is a gulag-style censorship machine, that the Department of Homeland Security is merely security theater, that the NSA makes your private life their business, that the Grim Reaper supports everyone's troops, that we need to legalize freedom, that in life there are no excuses, that CNN is a communist news network, voting is the suggestion box of slaves, that 9/11 was a lie, and that all official stories should be questioned. Also, let people know we're in the middle of a full-blown sheepvolution, taxation is theft, the IRS is an immoral robbery service, cops enjoy protecting and serving the crap out of you, that the space you occupy is not a gun-free zone, and that gun-free zones are the most dangerous places on earth. Your purchase helps support more hard-hitting content on my censored channel. As of the recording of this video, I have over 90 designs. I take your requests for new designs, and I'm adding new ones every week, so check back often. The link to the store is in the description. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video.